Alright, here we go. I'm Tommy Thompson, this is Smoke and Mirrors, and I'm going to talk about Star Wars Republic Commando. Subscribe for more of these shenanigans and support the Patreon to watch these episodes early. But yeah, Republic Commando. I tried to sit down and play this before my summer break, but I was just too damn busy, getting married and all, and not getting the time to sit down with it. Plus, I found the PC version really flaky on my system, the resolution would play up, the texture quality would suffer under specific graphics settings, and mouse aim felt jittery and a bit broken. I actually ended up playing the game for a couple hours with this setup, and then decided to boot up the Xbox backwards compatible version on my Xbox One, which was funnily enough one of the free games of the month only a couple of months back. Weird how things work out that way. So yeah, Republic Commando. It's often held in high regard given that it was doing some really interesting stuff with companion AI back in 2005, long before many other games attempted something of similar fidelity. Players take command of a commando trooper, Delta 3-8, as part of the Republic's clone army, first seen in the beloved Star Wars prequel Attack of the Clones. You're in charge of leading your squad of commandos Delta 6-2, Scorch, Delta 4-0, Fixer, and Delta 07 Sev, each of whom have their own dedicated abilities, be it demolition, hacking computer terminals, or sniping distant targets. While each character operates largely of their own accord, you can command each of them to execute specific tasks related to their specialism, as well as prioritise specific targets, aid one another when downed, go and get themselves healed, and adhere to a variety of combat formations. The control interface for all these behaviours is remarkably streamlined, with most behaviours being executed by highlighting areas of interest, be they doors to slice or targets to shoot, and hitting the A button on the controller. Plus, formations come about by holding the button and then pressing the corresponding D-pad button for the formation selected. It does an effective job of keeping all of the core actions around one button, but it does mean that the behaviours themselves are rather reduced in scale and scope. Plus, many of these macro actions rely on you to look at the item in question. So if you want to get your character to go and place a demolitions charge at the wall, you need to be looking at the wall before you trigger the command. This for the most part works really well as characters assume the position and start the activity. The actual activities that AI do are largely streamlined in such a way that the majority of them are merely stopgaps for pacing of the game. Having players survive endless waves of enemies while a character hacks a door or blows up a wall. Sure, it can be fun, but it becomes apparent that a lot of the level design is built around fixed set pieces whereby you're defending a location on a timer that you yourself activate. Meanwhile, the other circumstances are built around creating strategic positions, but they are quite finite in nature, so it often feels like a bit of level exploration is needed until I find all of the interaction points for my troopers to hold the position. Sounds like I'm bashing the game quite a bit, which isn't my intent. It just feels very linear in spots, and at times it feels like there's a more complex and emergent dynamic that's just sitting one step away from being realised, and whether that was the developer's intent is hard to piece together so many years later. All that said, when you do get the positioning right, and you do make an intelligent play on how to resolve a particular scenario, it feels good, it feels slick, it feels like we all know what we should be doing. However, it can also get a little bit clumsy if there are multiple things in proximity of one another and the reticule is highlighting the wrong thing for you to activate. It's a weird balancing act, and for a game released in 2005, it does a great job of giving you the freedom to place characters into situations that you want, but conversely, you sometimes find yourself in situations where you're fighting with the AI to execute a specific desired behaviour, or untangling an awkward situation where everything's going wrong, such that you can get your AI to form up, stop getting themselves killed, and focus on the objective. I found my whole gameplay experience would oscillate from super cool stealth commando saving the Republic from terror to gun-wielding babysitter of suicidal action figures. 1 minute everything's going really well, the other time, nope, it just doesn't work out the way I intended. A lot of that actually comes down to planning and preparation, where survival can literally come about because I spent an extra 30 seconds placing characters before the next trigger brought in more enemies for us to shoot at. This meant we maybe had better cover, or we were using turrets or other similar weaponry, but then sometimes the inverse happened, where irrespective of the planning, the only way to survive was just to run in, punch and shoot everything in the face, and go through a scrambling phase of reviving my now dead teammates in the hope that when I get gunned down, they'll stay alive long enough to revive me back. What's interesting is how critical the AI are to the balance of the experience and how they get wiped out quickly if my planning was poor or there was something I just couldn't anticipate. I found the difficulty of the game just went a little crazy. It actually reminded me a lot of how Gears of War, which only came out a year or so later, does have co-op AI that are somewhat helpful, but they don't detract from you being the authority of the experience. they call out enemies and take cover where necessary. I can appreciate just how tough a balancing act that can be, and this game is still very much in the sort of infancy phase of building smart, responsive AI companions for combat scenarios. That said, I would love to find out more about how they work, given their behaviours are remarkably robust and don't falter too much. I do get the feeling it's a lot of less is more, with plenty of smoke and mirrors, no pun intended, to help obfuscate the work that's being done here. I actually did reach out to a couple of developers months ago, hoping to see if anyone would be willing to do an interview about it. But thus far no luck. But hey, why don't y'all help me out and make some noise online about it? Who knows, I mean, we've had GoldenEye on the show for goodness sake. It'd be nice to try and find out more about a lot of these older games, given I think it holds real value not just in terms of preservation, but also sharing for a lot of indie developers who are looking for smaller, simpler solutions. And there we have it, Star Wars Republic Commando, a game that's arguably not aged as well as one would hope, although to be honest, how often do early 3D games actually achieve that? But it still has a lot of really cool ideas, and was worth playing through to experience. With games like Ghost Recon Wildlands taking a less tactical and more streamlined approach to these sorts of mechanics, it would be great to see a legitimate effort to build a heavily tactic-driven version of this game once more. Let me know your thoughts on Republic Commando, if you were a fan, if you weren't, heck, did you even like Attack of the Clones? That film still annoys me to this day. And if my Star Wars opinions haven't incensed you, support AI in Games on Patreon, because it's just an awesome thing to help support more awesome things. May the Force be with you, and all that jazz.